This is Securing Success, where we get to know the professionals that make up the cybersecurity sector. This episode marks an exciting milestone for our podcast with our first return guest, Entro Security's CEO, Itzik Alvas. Itzik and I last spoke about 7 months ago. There have been substantial developments for Itzik's evolution as a CEO, along with Entro's place in the cybersecurity community. So Itzik, I'm happy to have you back. Seems like we've got a lot to talk about.
Back, Mark. It's going to be an interesting podcast.
Yeah. And the first thing we got to address from a personal standpoint, the biggest development for you is most likely your move to Boston from Israel. So I'd like to dive into that. What drives a decision like that for you? And I've seen other foreign CEOs moving into the United States as their business develops. So I wanted to get a sense about what drives that decision for you.
Yeah, I recently relocated to the Boston area, just outside of Boston. So prior to the podcast, we were talking a bit about the weather over here, and it's completely different than Israeli weather. So I'm still, trying to get used to that. But the main drivers was, of course, Entro Security and my company. Basically, I could have moved either to New York or Boston because I'm working a lot with Israel, and then I will need the Eastern time zone. West side is a bit challenging if you want to work with Israel because that's 10 hours difference. But in the Eastern side, it's 6 or 7, depends on the daylight saving. So East side was for sure, but basically I made the decision to be close to the customer base. So we have a lot of customers over in the east side of the US. And also Boston has a vibrant tech ecosystem, and it's kind of an innovation hub, at least Cambridge. So we are based out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, just outside, across the river from Boston. So a lot of great cybersecurity companies are based over here, and that means a lot of great people that know cybersecurity are based out of Boston. We recruited some folks over here, and then also being close to the customer base, and also being close to some strategic partnership and reaching our goals.
Understood. Okay. So essentially wanting to be close to customers, partners, other vendors in the cybersecurity community, and you being the head of your organization, obviously, it made sense for you to be here.
Yeah, definitely. So Entro is separated into, I guess every company is separated into the development, product, design, and so forth, and then the go-to-market teams, which are basically marketing and sales and customer-facing relationships. And the go-to-market is based out of the US, so our employees, with the exception of one, everybody is based out of the US. And then the development, product, and so forth, they are based out of Israel. So when we first started, I needed to be over there on the product side and development side of things, making sure everything is being built as we expect it, as our customers and leads expect us to build. And as we now, have a nice customer base and we have validity around what we're doing, that's the time for me to move and be more closer to the go-to-market teams and implement Entro or introduce Entro to every company that can use it.
Yeah, and I've seen that be a big difference maker for cybersecurity vendors based abroad from US, coming here, the CEOs, the executive leadership coming here, that has been a substantial difference maker. So from my perspective, where I sit from the conversations we have, seems like a good choice for you. How's the transition been, right? Is it what you expected, Itzik, or were there any surprises in the move, the adjustment to the lifestyle, etc.?
I expected some of it. Um, Others, I'm still, was a surprise to me, or I'm still getting familiar with. So yeah, moving from Israel to the US, it's a big, significant change for me and my family. So currently I'm married and have a dog. So my wife and my dog came with me. So my dog, at least, she used to chase or try to chase after cats. Now it's rabbits. So she changed that. And basically, we changed our hobbies. Israel is a great, and Tel Aviv is a great beach town. So that there's more, surfing and stuff like that. And over here it's ice skating and skiing. So that's a bit of an adjustment for us. And of course, professionally, I need to build, and I am building new networks and navigating the local cybersecurity companies and entrepreneurs over here and customer base over here and basically building out my network, which is very solid in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is a great cybersecurity hub, and I'm connected to everybody over there. And now I need to create a new one over here. So I started prior to the transition, and I'm currently keep building that. So I guess those are the main points around changing or moving. And of course, you have some technicalities such as open bank account and stuff like that, but those are easy enough.
I'm glad you brought up, not only your move, but the fact that you brought your wife here with you. A lot of times people expect and say, hey, founders should move to the U.S., wherever they are. And it makes sense from a business perspective. But many times people don't take a minute to think about what does that mean for them and their families. And, kudos to the family members, kudos to your wife for supporting what you're doing. And I think it's a big deal. I hope people start thinking about that more because, oftentimes we talk about founders as if they're something as opposed to somebody. And you bringing that to light was really important here. When we reconnected prior to the podcast, you updated me on Entro's growth as an organization. Tell whoever's listening about that. From last time to this time, how big is the company? What other changes are taking place?
Build our size in terms of the R&D size, the development back in Israel, and also think for the go-to-market, we tripled our size since the last time we talked. We are getting significant revenue growth, which is great for us and allows us or enable us to grow our team or mandates us to grow our team because now there's more stuff that we need to develop and support, and because we are getting that market validation, we can work towards other logos, brands, and other customers. So we need that growth, and of course, as long so we are a first mover in the non-human identity and secret security space. That's a problem I personally experienced a lot of time in the past. Maybe we can discuss that as we continue with the podcast. But since we are a first mover and since we had a lot of time to learn that space, and as the time goes by, we keep learning, keep understanding from our customers what their biggest pain points around non-human identities and secrets. So basically deepened our expertise, and that enable us to create more features and more automated flows that will help our customers to secure and basically manage the life cycles of those non-human identities within their organizations. So yeah, we've done a lot in a very short period of time, and we keep learning and expanding.
So you mentioned learning a couple times now, several times in what you just discussed, and a lot of that is clearly important because you're getting more exposure to the folks that will adopt this technology. You can have an idea of what's needed, but until you're talking to those potential customers and customers alike, you're not going to
Exactly.
know. You're going to have to upgrade it. So you've learned a lot from there. But I've got to imagine I'd be blown away if you haven't learned something about leadership and business ownership and entrepreneurship from when you started to now. You talk about doubling the size of R&D, tripling the size of your go-to-market. You're clearly competing and winning to an extent for attention in the cybersecurity space. Have you learned anything about that part of the journey, right? About being a leader, hiring people, making people happy. It's hard. The more people you have, the harder it is to make everybody happy.
Of course.
Well, any insights on that front?
I've been in the cybersecurity, at least in management positions, for 15 years now, if not more. And I manage large teams. So at Microsoft, I managed over 200 people across the globe. Um, and, and, and it's not the same, right? When it's your baby, when it's something you're growing, it's different. And to continue that learning experience that we've talked about, you should, at least I try to learn from everybody and everything. Um, you can learn from it and maybe then try to understand if you want to implement that. That's different topics. You can learn and understand why people are doing something differently than you are, and then maybe it's not the best fit for you and you decide not to do that, but you should still learn. And yes, of course, I'm learning a lot from my customers, how to best build our solution, how to best sell our solution, what works, what doesn't work. You mentioned how to get attention in such a crowded environment as cybersecurity, right? There are a lot of solutions out there. And I guess that's for everybody out there. Um, there's no magic wand out here. If you are getting attention, you are probably solving a real problem. And if you are not getting attention, you are probably not solving their biggest pain point. So secrets and non-human identities are currently the second most frequent attack to an organization, and then not only the second most frequent, but it's the number one most costly and destructive attack to an organization. So that's a real pain point, and I guess that's why we're getting the attention. But for your question, what did I learn? So I'm I'm a doer, I'm keep doing stuff. I like to do everything, and that's not great management because in management, yeah, you know all about that. In management, you should trust your people, let them do it because they are probably better than you. I have a VP of marketing, VP of sales, VP of R&D. They are better at what they do than I am, but I like doing stuff. So delegating more and more, that's something I'm continuing to learn for the past 15 years as a manager, because I prefer to do it myself, but then I need to delegate, I need to trust them. And of course, I need, to validate they are doing as expected and getting the results. And there are many methods to do that. OKRs and like, that's a completely different discussion that we can have. But delegating and trust your team, and that's a result of hiring the best. And that's also a reason why I moved to Boston and not to New York. You have the best cybersecurity go-to-market people over here. So hire the best and then trust them to do what they do best. Of course, make sure they are operating and solving the problems, but hire the best and then delegate. Um, and AI is keep making noise, right? So we're in the field of non-human identities. AI is really increasing that problem. Um, so that's maybe also something that helps us raise above the noise, because the scale and the growth of non-human identity lifecycle management and secret security is getting to the extreme right now because of AI.
So we talked about you getting attention, and I know that there's been some really fun developments, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to really reiterate for people who maybe haven't listened to our other podcast. Tell a non-engineer, right? Tell me, what is the secret space? And specifically, when you tell me that, I also want you to follow up and talk about the impact of AI. Because when we talked 7 months ago, and this is a mind-blowing element of our conversation, I don't think that AI sphere, if we can say that, was where it's at today. The conversation was completely different. Again, crazy because it was less than a year ago. So
Yeah.
tell us, what is secret security, basically, and what has AI done to develop that space or disrupt that space?
Security and non-human identities. So non-human identities are basically service accounts, cloud access tokens, and etc. In the essence of it, it's credentials that applications are using in order to access their infrastructure. So if application needs to access and authenticate against storage, database, and so forth, they need credentials. And those credentials are programmatic access keys, and those are secrets. So secrets, aka programmatic access keys, applications are using them to access resources, access and authenticate against resources. And the main problem over here is that the developers are the ones who are creating those programmatic access keys, those secrets, those non-human identities, and they're doing that without any security oversight. So now you have team or many teams of developers that are creating credentials with permissions to access your environments and customers' data, and they are doing that in an unsecure manner. So they are scattering them around. They can, send them over Slack or expose them externally, commit them into code, and so forth. And they are doing that without any security oversight. And basically, what organization needs right now is to understand how many of those non-human identities and secrets they have, where are they, and how to manage their life cycle so they can decommission programmatic access keys that are no longer in use, so they can right-size permissions. So if a developer gave admin permission over one key and it's unneeded, let's right-size it to the proper permission it needs. Let's rotate like we are resetting our passwords. Let's rotate our secrets. Let's store them in a secure location. Usually those are vaults. So basically managing the entire non-human identities within our organization it's a huge need for security teams right now. And that's what Entro helps with. Basically automating and streamline the non-human identities lifecycle management, and reducing or eliminating the threats over there. We're also continuously monitoring them for any abnormal behavior. So if someone from China is using your non-human identity and you don't do business with China, probably you would like to monitor that and probably block it. So we help with that portion. And to answer your question, now that AI is being built within every organization, they are leveraging now AI capabilities. Those are more and more secrets that the AI needs in order to authenticate against the company resources. So we are seeing a drastical increase of non-human identities and secrets at each organization, all of which are unmanaged without any proper security visibility. And yeah, it will keep on growing. So we are seeing so for every developer, for every one human employee, we are seeing 50 non-human identities. And those usually have the ability to access our customers' data.
Wow. Wow. And so, was it a difficult lift when AI started emerging really quickly, and now it's just here, right? And everybody can relate maybe to the ChatGPT component. The adoption of that is
There are
increasing, but
many,
there's so much more to it,
so
right?
much. Yeah.
How, I mean, were you caught off guard? And you don't have to answer that if you don't want, but were you caught off guard by that? Or were you anticipating this would happen? And did you build your product around that anticipation?
We didn't build our product around AI, but we weren't caught off guard as well. So our product is able to discover all non-human identities wherever they reside, in their creation locations, in their storage locations, exposed ones. We're able to find all of them, and we are able to find the ones that are created for AI and by AI. So we haven't, 100% focused on AI, but we did support it before it became a great thing. So now we are able to help our customers as AI grow within the organization to secure the credentials that that AI is actually using or creating. So yeah, we are definitely supporting that. We are also leveraging AI capabilities in our product to make it better. So we definitely feel the pain. So yeah, that's uh, that's the essence of it. And I mean, I know all about secrets. So I mentioned I worked for 15 years as a manager, and some of my latest positions prior to Entro. So I was in charge of the internal security and infrastructure at one of Microsoft's clouds. And there we were breached twice by secrets and non-human identities. Prior to that, I was a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer for an healthcare organization. We were breached by an unsecure non-human identity and a secret. So I know all about that. I felt the pain myself. So yeah, we built our product right so we can give our customers the needed oversight and help them automate that life cycle so their non-human identities can be secured.
What a mind-blowing concept all this is, especially when you mentioned, I think twice just now, that AI creates their own credentials and their own
Yeah,
secrets,
it's crazy.
basically. That's so
It's crazy.
unbelievable. I mean, it's here. So you clearly have something that the market will benefit from. Arguably, it needs. So that's also attracted the attention of analysts. You've been competing in competitions. Brag a little bit, Itzik. It's okay to do
For
that these
sure.
days. Tell us some of these wins that you've had from the analyst community, some of the competitions that you've participated on and done well with.
Maybe the latest two. We won many different prizes. So the latest one was the Globy Awards, which is basically designed to recognize and celebrate organizations that are achieved a great milestone. And we just won that like maybe a month ago or 3 weeks. And it's a great feeling because it's not only that we are getting validation from external vendors and winning competitions, and they are validating our product is a great one and leading the way and helping organizations, but it's also a testimonial for the team that is working hard, that is learning from customers what they need, how we can solve their problems, and it's great for them. It's great for the team to see, hey, I mean, it's not us that telling you you're doing a great job, and it's not only our even customers that are enjoying the product and now their non-human identities are managed and secure. It's an external competition that is saying, hey, you've done an amazing job, and kudos for the team. So Globi was the latest one. Prior to that, we won Gartner Cool Vendor. That was the fastest in history. We are a fairly new company, and we were the fastest in history to ever receive Gartner Cool Vendor. And I assume everybody knows Gartner. So Gartner is probably the best analyst group out there. And being recognized by Gartner, it's a very proud moment for us and the team, and it also gave us a lot in terms of market validation, market trust, and etc. It's basically saying we are leading that category of non-human identity, lifecycle management, and secret security. And again, it's a validation for the hard work and innovation the team is doing.
A lot of people see these types of awards or recognitions from analysts, and they say, okay, well, that company's doing cool. A lot of people don't take, again, the human element into consideration. And you really communicated that well here. The kudos, the validation. This is such a hard business to be a part of. It's a hard place to break out into. There's a million problems that you and your team have to deal with every single day. So much
Every
stress,
day, definitely.
and for somebody, a recognized organization, a recognized award, for people to say, you guys are doing a good job, beyond you saying that to your team or something like that. That is huge. I mean, that is morale 101, and I'm so happy
Yeah.
for you guys, because that's what you're putting in the work, and you need something. You need some wins, and yes, revenue, customers is obviously a nice part of that, but just to be recognized by your community, congrats, man. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah. Thanks. I totally agree with that. That's the spirit. That's what the crew needs to keep the morale high and keep working out for our customers.
So, beyond having some of this market validation, beyond being able to monetize your product, right? Sell it, because you won't sell it if people don't want it or it's not good. So there's something to
Of
it.
course.
You're selling it. You're getting these recognitions and awards, but I can't imagine that's the only thing that kind of keeps you, Itzik, the head of the snake, so to speak, chugging along, right? So are you doing the ice skating, or what are you doing to acclimate yourself to your new environment, manage stress, and just be a human being?
Beside work, which I mostly do, yeah, I've got a lot going on, with the move. So lately, I mean, even buying furnitures, that was
Another thing
that
people
took
just
some
don't
of
even
my
think
time.
about. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
we need a sofa, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
well,
yeah, but yeah, so I'm taking Saturdays off, and basically spending that with my wife. So now that we are in a new place, um, we have a lot to see. So we're doing tourist stuff, and seeing
good.
places that are around Boston. Um, so yeah, that's what we now do. Also exercise. But it's mainly around work. I truly enjoy it. You build something, you had a problem yourself, you were breached by it, you try to find a solution, you couldn't, so you started the company, and now it's growing, and you're getting great feedback, you're winning prizes, customers love what you're doing, and you actually protect them from what you've experienced as a security leader. So I love seeing it grow. And that's where I spend most of my time. But of course, I mean, Saturdays are with the family, sightseeing, museums, ice skating, which I'm a complete natural. I'm great at it.
Yeah, I just see you doing
Uh,
spins right now.
yeah. But yeah, enjoying the new environment.
Good. And I can't think of, there's several cities here where you can get it, but I can't think of too many better places than Boston to actually do some of that sightseeing. I mean, clearly a ton of history around
Yeah,
the United States, the museum. So you shouldn't be lacking in that. I'm very happy to see your progress, your success. I hope in another 6, 7 months we can do this thing again, and there will be more interesting
hopefully.
developments to talk about. So, um, congrats, Itzik. This is there's no end, right? It's just growth,
Right.
some struggle, breaking through some walls, but you're doing it, and I'm happy for you, man.
It's always a pleasure being at your podcast. Yeah, thanks again for having me.
All right, we'll do this again, Itzik. We'll talk to you soon.